Hello, everyone. I'm Grant Cohn. My co-host today is Rob Schuh, who's up in Portland, Oregon. We go back. I know Rob real well. We do. And Rob's fantastic. Today, we're going to be talking about Julio Jones. Thank goodness for whoever linked Julio Jones and the 49ers because it gives us something to talk about. Thank you. But we're going to save that. There's breaking news. The 49ers have released legendary wide receiver Marquise Lee and signed Benny Fowler to replace him. In the Niners' defense, they're about the same age. Benny Fowler's actually played a little bit the last 3 years as opposed to Marquise Lee. What does this move mean to you?
I mean, yeah, real shame to let Marquise Lee go. That was, a key 49er. To me, it signals a bit about the unrest at that third wide receiver position. To me, it truly is that smoke signal that they just don't know what the solution is there. Clearly, Marquise Lee coming back from that gruesome injury, it was a stretch that he was going to make the roster. I was pulling for him. I certainly predicted that he would in our show with Jack Hammer. Clearly, Jack was on the right track saying he wouldn't make the 53. To me, it really says, hey, we missed out on Kendrick Bourne. We weren't willing to pay him what the Patriots were. And now we don't have a clear third option. I'm on board with Richie James Jr. probably getting the most snaps there, but I just don't think Benny Fowler is a clear answer.
No, I mean, let's look at what McWorld 999 says. McWorld 999 is a known Benny Fowler expert. Says Fowler was a UDFA in 2014, picked up by the Broncos, played for Gary Kubiak. Giants, then Saints, always getting placed on practice squad, injury replacement. Teams put him on practice squad, 12, 13 yards average catch, doesn't get a break. Okay, so I'm with you on that. They haven't addressed the number 3 receiver. This guy is not a number 3 receiver. He is a guy who's on the practice squad. Maybe you bring him up if someone has a sprained ankle. He's like what Jordan Matthews was in the past.
Yeah, it's interesting to think that you have a guy like Richie James Jr., who the fan base obviously loves for good reason. He has flashed excellence in some games when he has come in. It's hard to imagine throwing a guy like Benny Fowler in above Richie James Jr., unless you're concerned that Richie can't hang with a full season of work because of his size going over the middle. But to me, it would be odd if Benny Fowler was the de facto number 3 wide receiver.
Yeah. Absolutely. I don't think he's even in the running for it. He's not going to be competing for it. He's a vet with they're leaving it open for Jalen Hurd. It seems very clear. If it ain't Jalen Hurd, it's Richie James. They have 2 guys, 2 young receivers who have talent. And Benny Fowler isn't young and he's not talented. So they might like him. Maybe they know him. Maybe Gary Kubiak gave him a good recommendation. Maybe he'll be a good guy to have on your practice squad, a nice vet. Because you can have vets on the practice squad now. That's the new. Right. So I think maybe every team wants some. And he could be that. But I don't think that he's going to be getting targets next year or playing very much or actually competing to replace Kendrick Bourne. If the Niners have a plan for that, he ain't in it. And I don't know what their plan is.
Yeah, I agree.
It's the Jalen Hurd plan.
It shows me that I was off on believing what Marquise Lee could round back into form. I mean, who knows? He could be brought back onto the team at some point, certainly after week 1 when veteran contracts are no longer guaranteed for the season. You could bring him back at that point. But I truly thought he was going to compete for the number 3 and clearly was wrong there.
McWorld again, who is fantastic. Thank you. Says Fowler had shoulder surgery October 2020. Marquise Lee's had all kind of knee issues. That's a good point. My question, and I don't know the answer to it, Rob, anyone wants to help me out here. Why sign Marquise Lee first? They could have brought Benny Fowler into the rookie mini camp and given him a tryout. They didn't. They gave Marquise Lee a tryout. They signed Marquise Lee. Less than a week later, they're like, you know what? Forget you, Marquise Lee. We like Benny Fowler, who's been available this whole time. What is that? Did Marquise Lee does he have body odor? Is there something does he have halitosis? What happened?
Well, I hope that we don't hear a story that, he tweaked something in the meantime since the news broke that we signed him, because that would be horrific too.
That would actually make sense. There were practices that I didn't attend. Who knows what happened? Yeah,
could be, but I haven't heard anything about that. Obviously, the news just broke this morning. To me, it doesn't inspire confidence. As a 49er fan, I'd like to think that you have a clear plan headed into the season for who your third wide receiver is going to be. And it just doesn't feel like you do as an organization.
No. And it ain't Benny Fowler. So I don't think we're going to be talking about Benny Fowler very much ever again. So, Benny?
I bet Benny has a game. I bet he has that Richie James breakout performance where all the fans start clamoring for him, but it really is just the one-off.
Let me ask you this before we move on from Benny Fowler, forever perhaps. Who's going to have more catches this year, Benny Fowler or River Craycraft?
I'll tell you what. I know that River Craycraft gets some laughs on your channel. That catch that he almost made,
it was really the best almost catch I've ever seen.
Really,
I've never seen someone almost catch a ball better than that.
Like, I know he almost caught it, so that's a key detail because he didn't catch it.
No,
but it really was spectacular.
It's the best. It's the most spectacular near catch I think I've ever seen.
Yep.
No one has ever not caught a ball with more style and panache than River Craycraft did that day. Shout out, River. I love you.
Hey, more style, less importance than the Dez Bryant drop, but more style than that Dez Bryant.
That's true. Definitely more. I'm betting on River, Benny. You got to wake up pretty early in the morning to beat out River MF Craycraft. So let's see what you got, Benny. All right, let's move on.
Craycraft.
MF. I got a little loose there, but I kept it within P. I think that's PG.
PG for sure. It's PG.
Because that's my brand. All right, let's talk Julio Jones because this is a real topic. I kind of ignored it for a while, but the Niners are the odds-on favorite to land him. Let's be real clear. Let me set this up. The Falcons are probably going to trade Julio Jones after June 1. They're probably going to trade him after June 1. That's in 10 days. 10 days. So it's coming up, and the Niners are the odds-on favorite to get him. Kyle coached him already. Joe Staley went on Twitter to campaign for it. I mean, he was like, hey, the Niners should get him. Kyle knows how to get it. Thanks, Joe. So was that this has legs. This could happen. First of all, should it happen? And then we'll come to part two of the question. Will it happen? Because those are always two different things.
Yeah, it sure seems like every key player, especially wide receiver over the past 4 years that is even close to hitting the market is linked to the 49ers. So I don't fault you for sort of brushing it off at first because it did seem like that's what this was when it first got traction. Now I agree with you. I think that the story has legs. The Joe Staley tweet was hilarious. I mean, an awkward way of sort of putting pressure on the organization. It was, funny and you could laugh it off, but I think it gave some 49ers fans hope, right? I mean, this is Joe Staley we're talking about. If Joe thinks it's a possibility, it's a possibility.
Right.
So I think to answer your question, first and foremost, I would try and make it happen. I think regardless of injury history, production is still there when he's healthy. I think that having a receiver like that out on the edge would change the offense for the 49ers. I don't think that you can really argue that point. You can certainly make a great case for, will he be healthy enough? You can make a great case for, is it the best use of dollars within the organization? But as far as production value on the field when healthy, I just don't think you can dispute it. The man's a monster.
Yeah, I mean, if they trade for Julio Jones, you couldn't call it a bad move. He's a Hall of Fame wide receiver who's 32. He's signed through 2023. The thing is, he's extreme. Hold on. So, I like your enthusiasm. And if the Niners were to trade for Julio Jones, Niner fans would throw a parade. They'd be so happy. And you couldn't call it a bad move. He's a Hall of Fame player. But I have concerns. Let me list them. All right. First of all, he's really expensive.
Yes.
Not in terms of the draft capital.
$15.3 million for this year.
Oh man, I'm looking at over the cap and I'm seeing that his cap number this year is, now it would be different for the Niners, but for Atlanta, it's $23 million. For the Niners, it would be
15.3.
It would be 15.
Yeah, they have to eat $7.5 million even after that June 1st cutoff.
But still, I mean, he's expensive and he gets more expensive, and then Armstead's expensive down the line, and Kittle and Trey Williams and and then Fred Warner. It seems like there's a lot of, I don't know if they can even do it financially, but say they could. What about the fact that he's 32 and missed 7 games last year and has played a lot of physical football? And what does he have left? Is he going to be, I mean, if you have him and Kittle and Debo and Ayuk, that's like the best collection of skill position players when they're on the field together. But how often are they on the field together? I mean, Debo has issues. Kittle has issues. People forget Ayuk tore core muscle in college. He had ankle injuries and hamstring injuries last year as a rookie. You can't just bank on him playing a whole season. And now Julio, at a certain point, I don't know. But I mean, go all in with forget durability. Oh, well.
It's a fair question, but I do think that is a strategy point that you have to answer, right? When you want physical freaks, when you want people like George Kittle who play like a WWE star, you're going to miss a couple of games every year. That to me is what the trade-off is, and I will take that. I will take George Kittle being able to shed six tacklers in the Saints game for a couple of games each year that he's going to miss because someone hyperextends his knee when they go low on him.
That's fair. I got more concerns, though. This is a run-first team. This is a team that's really ideally throwing 25, 30 passes a game tops. So how do you split up those? Are there enough targets to go around for Julio Jones, Brandon Ayuk, Debo, and Kittle? And use check. I mean, it seems like, are you going to use them enough to justify it? And then the final thing, I guess there's 4 things that concern me about it, is they just traded away 3 years of first-round draft picks. Now you're going to trade a second. You're going to trade – are you just trading it all for a guy who's in his 30s? So there's 4 things to at least think twice about. But again, Hall of Fame player definitely makes your team better. It's not a bad move. It's just like a cost-benefit analysis type of deal.
It is. And I think clearly, even if this would get the deal done, you're going to have to give up the second next year. You're probably going to have to throw in a third the year after. We do have the extra third from Martin Mayhew and Saleh signings. And so I think that when you look at draft capital, I get what you're saying there. You do need to be able to restock cheap talent. And that's the NFL's model now that you have the rookie wage scale in there. You can clearly, in those early rounds, get valuable starters. I do think when you look at this team, it really is deep, and it's deep depending upon injury. I get that. We do have a lot of players who, if they go down, we could be in some trouble, but I think that's true across the league. And I do believe the 49ers roster is set up at the point where we're at that cusp of being able to push for the Super Bowl. So I think you bring on Julio Jones and you just hope that you click at the right time at the end of the year and that you're healthy then. And players like Kittle, Ayuk, Debo, and Julio Jones are on the field for a playoff run. And now who's going to stop that offense?
All right, now let's do the second part of the question. Will they trade for Julio Jones, in your opinion?
I don't think so. I think maybe I'm a little bit jaded in this regard, in that I've just seen so many of these possible trades come across the wire, and very few of them have actually happened, right? I mean, we've gotten a couple of great trades. I really was fond of and continue to be fond of the Jimmy G trade. But as far as wide receivers go, I just don't think that we have pulled the trigger there. I know what Kyle said about there's only so many Julios on the planet. And you go and you get them. The production is there for me. I look back and did the averages, 10 seasons. He averages 13 and a half games a season. And that's taking into account the 9 games he missed last year. He averages 84, 85 catches a year, averages 1,300 yards receiving a year, averages 6 touchdowns a year, kind of a low figure there. So he may not be the red zone threat that we need, but has a catch rate of 64%. I think if you can fit him, you try. To me, the money is the biggest thing. I looked across, we have 11 million of cap space. He's 15.3. I looked at what deals, who can you extend? Where can you get the money from? And unless you add a couple years to Jimmy Ward's deal or Eric Armstead or do something with Jimmy, which seems highly unlikely, I don't know where they find the cap dollars to do it this year.
See, that's interesting. I actually think I see this differently than you in both ways. I think I'm more against it than you. I'm more cautious on this. But then in terms of predicting it, I think it's actually more likely than you do. And the reason I think it's more likely is Kyle coached him. Kyle knows him. Kyle has a relationship with him. And Kyle is constantly bringing players in that he knows. You think like it's not a big deal, but giving a guy a lot of money, you got to work with them. Sometimes these coaches don't want to work with someone it's an unknown. But with Julio, you can work with him. He'll take your style. Kyle is a notoriously negative, abrasive coach with players. I mean, he keeps it real. Ask Dante Pettis about that. Some people can't take that. Julio
Nope.
can. So I'm saying the fact that it probably won't cost a first round pick. There's a relationship there. Julio would be into it. Kyle would probably be into it. He's been on record saying anytime someone like Julio Jones is available, you trade for him. Well, I can't think of anyone who's more like Julio Jones than Julio Jones. So I think that this is something that Kyle would definitely do, even if it's not necessarily, in my opinion, the most prudent. It's not prudent. It's not prudent, but he's still great. So it's not a bad move either. It's just not what you call screw prudence. I don't think he's a very prudent person anyway.
Hey,
Kyle.
if you believe that
Trading for D Ford wasn't prudent, I mean, who cares?
If you believe you can make a run at the Super Bowl, throw prudence out the window. Get it done. Like one Super Bowl erases all the doubts. I don't care if you then disappear into obscurity. Look at the Seahawks organization, right? One Super Bowl win and then a Super Bowl loss. They are constantly in it each year, yes, but they are now in that conversation on the national spotlight of a phenomenal franchise. That one Super Bowl win elevates a franchise back into the limelight. So I say go for it.
I say that I think they're going to do it. I think in 2 weeks they're going to get Julio Jones because Kyle wants him. And I think something else. If it's true that Kyle's second choice was Trey Lance and he had to acquiesce, he wanted Mac Jones, but the fans revolted and the front office overruled him, then he could say, you know what? My turn. I want Julio Jones. Put him on the team. I mean, if they traded for Emmanuel Sanders, they just might trade for Julio Jones. I think there's a reason that they're the odds-on favorite and that Joe Staley opened his mouth on Twitter. I think it has a real possibility of happening, and I can see the Niners Kyle being as motivated as anyone in the league to get this guy.
The point you bring up about Kyle's guy is a big one that I hadn't considered as far as the likelihood of it getting
all
done.
of them, man. Pierre Garçon.
Oh my goodness. I mean, Brian Hoyer, like you name them. It doesn't matter if they're super
Alfred
talented.
Morris,
Tevin,
guys, Coleman. He tried to get Austin Hooper last year. I mean, Alex Mack. It's just nonstop. Oh, I know you. You know my offense. I know how you work. Okay, great. Well, Julio. Only question is what number is he going to wear, man? What number is he going to wear? He can't wear 11. He could buy it off Brandon Ayuk, but Ayuk's got maybe he can wear number 1.
Julio's got some coin. I think he might be able to afford that number.
Anyway, we'll see. I will accept Kyle's stubbornness for Julio over Mac Jones. Yeah, all right. Let's do the same question for Zach Ertz. Apparently, it's getting a little weird between Philly and Ertz. He wants out or something or other, and he's from Danville. I know that. He grew up out here in the East Bay. He went to Monta Vista. He's like a couple years younger than me. He went to Stanford. He probably would love to play for the 49ers. Do you think the Niners would love to trade for him? Should they get him?
It sure looks like the Niners want that second tight end, right? Last offseason, we made some attempts to fill that role. I know you're high on Ross Dwelley, and I would love to see that potential there. So I'm comfortable with where we're at, but it's clear that the Niners want to explore all options. And Zach Ertz had the tearful press conference that sure seemed to say, I'm done with the Philadelphia organization and moving on. So now you're looking at what is his career, 8 seasons, averaging 14 and a half games a season. So, he's missing 2.5 games a season for injury, 70 catches a year, 760 yards a year, 4.5 touchdowns a year, 70% catch rate, which is pretty phenomenal. This one is interesting to me, and the biggest detractor is the salary. I think he's at $8.5 million post June 1st if we bring him in. And so with $11 million left, still needing to do a Fred Warner extension, for me, this one is tough. I'm not trading for him. I think that the asking price is probably a 4th rounder. I think they're asking for a 3rd, so I think a 4th probably gets it done. But the $8.5 million and the significant drop off in production for him last season, where he literally lost the starting job by the end of the year, that's a concern. And I think things have deteriorated to the point with Philadelphia that potentially they end up having to release him. At that point, I'm interested, not interested in a trade.
Yeah, I would say if they released him and the Niners could sign him for cheap. Look, here's the thing. I've seen Zach Ertz in person recently, the last couple of years, I feel like I saw him in person. I mean, did he not play against the Niners at Levi's? My impression of him, seeing him, was he's slow. He's just not as dynamic as he was in 2013, 2014, 2015. He just seems slow and easy to cover and not dynamic. Like, he used to be really good at getting open. I mean, in 2018, he caught 75% of his targets. Last year, he caught 50% of his targets and averaged 9 yards per catch. And he's 30. I mean, what is he? He'll be 31 in November. I mean, the thing about it is, I really, really do like Ross Dwelley. It's not an act. I think he's really good. He just turned 26. Last year, he caught 79% of his catches and averaged almost 13 yards a catch. I think that's the kind of guy you want to reward with more playing time. Not like, hey, we're bringing in another 30-year-old has-been to cut into your, like, Jordan Reed never should have been on this team last year. His target should have went to Ross Dwelley. He earned them. Jordan Reed was washed up and shouldn't have been in the NFL at all last year, my opinion. And I'm not saying Zach Ertz is washed up. I'm not saying he's not. I just think the Niners, they need to start embracing some of their young players and not become the oldest team of all time.
That is a fair point. I love that you have to clarify that you actually like Ross Dwelley and you're not.
Some people think I'm like joking or something. Yeah. I do like him.
Well, I mean, in fairness, you do blow some smoke sometimes. So
I do. That's why I have to say it. I have to
you got to be clear about it.
No sarcasm here. I'm serious.
Yeah. I agree that we have in times past missed out on some serious talent that is a bit younger on our roster. I mean, a DJ Reed scenario where he's now, I think, at least as of last year, a starter in Seattle. It's tough to watch some of our young players that we should have developed and they should have been the solution when our older players moved on, end up on other teams. So I'm all for giving Ross Dwelley the reps in this scenario.
Too. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I don't think he moves the needle from Ross Dwelley a whole lot, if any.
I don't either, but the Niners, if Zach Ertz is cut and they can sign him for what they signed Jordan Reed last year, they'll do it because they don't. Ross Dwelley doesn't get the respect he deserves. He is the Rodney Dangerfield of tight ends.
No respect.
No respect. Ross Dwelley can't even get it from his own coach. I mean, what does he have to do?
But he's got it from Grant Cohn.
That's right.
That's what matters.
Rodney Dangerfield at tight end. All right. Well, I hope they don't bring in Zach Ertz. I don't think they need him.
I'm on the Ross Dwelley train with you, man. I'm on it now.
All aboard, baby. All aboard. Filling up fast. Jonathan says, I don't know if you went over this already, but what's the 49ers' 5 best positions? No, I don't think I have gone over. We could do it real quick off the top of your head. Let's name some that you think will qualify until we get to 5.
Running back.
D-line.
Linebacker.
Tight end.
Offensive line, hopefully.
Hell no. I wouldn't give them that yet. They got to prove
I know you wouldn't because you think that we're anchored on the right side by a flat tire.
I wouldn't give them that yet. But maybe, I mean.
But I struggled there because where else are we super deep? The fifth one to me is you could say
wide receiver,
quarterback. Well, that's what I thought on wide receiver, though. You have that significant drop off after the first 2. That's tough. First 2 are great, but then a real drop off.
That's true. Offensive line.
See, to me, I predict the McGlinchey bounce back year. I think that the Banks addition was huge.
Let's give it to the O-line. Let's give it to the O-line. Let's give it to the O. Good call. Good call. I'm gonna stop being so negative about the offensive line, Mike. That's for you. You're top 5 offensive line, which makes you a top 5 right tackle, probably, maybe, possibly. Thanks for the donation. We tried. All right. The Niners probably have to have multiple plans here at quarterback. There's no way to know what's going to happen, but you could have a preference. You could have a plan A, what you would like. What do you think the Niners' plan A at quarterback is this offseason?
Yeah, for me, I agree wholeheartedly with how you set that up. Anything can happen in between now and then. I am a firm believer in when new information comes in, I change my opinion. And I hope that everyone listening does the same thing because it's irrational not to. So we're working with the information that we have available right now. And the 49ers need that ideal scenario. To me, plan A going into it is clear cut that you want Jimmy G to start week 1. To me, it is the obvious choice. You have potentially a split locker room scenario where you have those people that are a fan of Jimmy G that are going to want Jimmy to play. You have I'm sure some who are fascinated by the talent that Trey Lance brings to the table and want to see that. But if you start with Jimmy, you can always go the other direction.
Right.
The problem that I have with starting Trey is what happens if things go badly.
That's right. That's worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario. You have invested 3 years of first round draft picks in this gentleman. His success is paramount.
Yes.
You've got to give him time to acclimate to the speed of the NFL. To
right.
learn
And it's like, oh, no, let's sink or swim. Okay, he sank. What do you do? What do you do? That's your first round pick in 2023. You just killed his confidence. What do you do? Can't let that happen.
Go to Josh Rosen, because at that point, you've destroyed confidence in Jimmy G. If you start Trey Lance week 1, you have said, Jimmy, we don't trust you. We don't want you. You're on your way out.
This kid who's never played a game is better than you.
So that's tough to me. I think that the best case scenario is that Jimmy plays all year long. Lance comes in for packages. I'm not talking Wildcat. I think you bring him in for small sample size of normal packages to allow him to practice the things you want him to do as the future starting quarterback, potentially red zone like Bill Walsh did with Joe Montana. That would be wonderful to me. And then if Jimmy makes it the entire year healthy, best case scenario, now he has actual trade value. Now you can trade him with his last remaining year on the contract. To me, that is the win-win scenario. And then you have a quarterback who's largely unscouted. And if you get into the playoffs and you need to play Trey Lance a little bit, now it's the first couple games when Kaepernick came in and nobody had any answers. It took them weeks to figure out a way to slow him down. The Chicago game was phenomenal when he first came in. I think that that's a real key part of that plan A. If things go well, you now have someone in reserves that can step in. You have a reset button that you can push at any point. To me, it's like jumping out of a plane with only one parachute if you start Trey Lance week 1. You want that backup chute, right? You want something in case things go wrong. So to me, that is start Jimmy, things go badly, or he gets injured. Now you have Trey.
Yeah, I'm going to answer this a little differently. I mean, it seems to me that everyone would love Trey Lance to blow everyone away in preseason and training camp and just win the job and be great. I mean, it'd be great if he could just make it clear to the whole team that he's the next Mahomes. Hey, guys, I know you like Jimmy. Nothing against Jimmy. I'm just way better than him. He could do that. That's plan A. But, I mean, why Jimmy's so important is that that's probably not going to happen. And as long as Jimmy's playing well and he's healthy, it gives the Niners options. You don't have to play Trey Lance. And it'd be better to play him when it's the right time as opposed to when you have to because Jimmy sucks or is hurt, So if Jimmy can just at least be the guy he was 2 years ago, play at that level and stay healthy, then the Niners can really commit to what's best for Trey as opposed to making some type of desperation panic move when Jimmy Garoppolo sprains his ankle.
Those are great points. Having options, that's always a plus.
Yeah. So I think Jimmy's important. If Jimmy can play, I mean, I still think that Kyle's skeptical of Trey Lance. I think he likes Trey Lance. I think it was his second choice. And I think he's standing there watching him like, man, I don't know, man. I mean, Mac Jones, I think Mac Jones would have been ready day one. I don't know. You'll be ready eventually. Is that now? I don't know. So I'm going to go back to Jimmy Garoppolo and say, I don't like Jimmy that much either, but at least I know XYZ about Jimmy. I don't know the first thing about you, Trey. Let's see what you got. So he could blow away Kyle, but I think it's Kyle's natural skepticism and the fact that Trey Lance is so young. It would be really great for the Niners if Jimmy Garoppolo could at least, not be terrible. Just win the job, Jimmy, and let Trey take it when he's ready, I guess. Not the smartest thing I've ever said, but
yeah, no, I'm with you wholeheartedly, except that I actually believe Jimmy is capable of going the whole way and playing very well. I still remain faithful in that, and probably foolishly. As I've said before, I can be a bit of a loyalist to a fault. And I think that maybe I see Jimmy's faults. I don't think he's perfect in any way, shape, or form. But I see him as a winner. I see him as our best chance this year to get it done. And to your point, I just think that Kyle. Let me preface it by saying I'm on the train of believing Kyle did have Trey Lance in his sights the whole time. I that's
fair.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
Right. So I take him at his word there, perhaps wrongly so, but I do. And so I think that to have the luxury of starting him when he wants to start him as opposed to being forced into anything is key.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. We're going to get to plan B in a second, but real quick, Julio says, on you or on Julio Jones, why don't you extend Jimmy with a lower salary in 21 and cut him next season when Lance will be starting? I don't know. I'm terrible at contracts and numbers and stuff. If they could do that, great. I don't know.
I think the question is, why would Jimmy do it?
Yeah, that's true. I think Jimmy, I don't think so.
He's got the leverage and,
take a pay cut? Nah, probably not.
25 mil sounds good to me.
Julio would be great for this less than accurate quarterback room. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo will be quite appreciative. And I'm sure Matt Ryan, say what you want about Julio Jones and his age, will be very upset if the Falcons get rid of him. Very.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see Pitts and Julio Jones on the same field. That would be exciting. But I also want him in a 49er uniform. So
plan B at quarterback. How do you think this lays out?
Yeah. So, I mean, plan B really to me is if information changes, right? Plan B is if Trey starts to look like the clear cut winner in preseason. And I will freely admit that that's entirely plausible. Jimmy has shown that he's not a great practice player. He has come off as rusty in early games in the season. And so I think that it's at least a possibility. For me, plan B of what the 49ers do for the quarterbacks scenario is the ultimate trade of Jimmy G. I think if it becomes clear that Trey is the guy, you need to recoup what you can and build a better team around Trey. Therefore, you take whatever you can get for Jimmy at that point, which is probably next to nothing. You're eating part of his salary as you send him out to whoever is interested, and you're probably getting back maybe a fourth rounder at that point. But it's better than getting nothing. It's always better to get something than nothing. And if Trey's the guy, then plan B is you got to move on from Jimmy, because then if Trey struggles, you don't have Jimmy there for people to clamor for him to be put into the game.
Right. Yeah. So if plan A is Jimmy plays well and Trey Lance eventually takes his job just because he's better than him, that's plan A. Plan B involves Jimmy not playing well. Jimmy struggles in camp. Jimmy loses week 1. Jimmy gets hurt. And now you are making a move not because you want to, not because it's the best thing for Trey or the team. It's because you're out of options. So plan B is murky. Plan B is Jimmy stinks and Trey goes in before he's ready. And the Niners go from considering themselves Super Bowl contenders to rebuilding. And it's like you're rebuilding with a bunch of 30-year-olds on your team that aren't going to be there next year. So plan B is it's bad. It's not good.
Bleak.
It's bleak. I mean, it's so bleak that you could almost argue if Jimmy goes down week 1 and Trey isn't ready, the right move is to play Josh Rosen. Because why are you playing Trey Lance before he's ready? He's too important to the future of your franchise. Let Josh Rosen take mop-up duty, if that's what you call it. I mean, who cares about Josh? No one. You care about Trey Lance. If you think he's not ready, then nothing Jimmy does is going to change. Only what Trey does is going to change that. So Jimmy getting hurt doesn't mean, okay, now Trey's ready. Nothing changed. Only thing that changed is Jimmy's health. So plan B could involve some weird, like Josh Rosen playing. Yeah. That's why
Nate Sudfeld.
Jimmy's really not or Nate. So that's why he's really not the ideal bridge quarterback, man, because that's not a sturdy bridge. It's not retrofitted for earthquakes and stuff.
No, it's not. I mean, you would rather, if you're clearly moving on and don't think you have a shot this year, I think you probably want Andy Dalton. You want someone that the fan base is not going to wrap their arms around. If you got to move on from Andy Dalton, sorry, Andy. But to me, that's the advantage of Jimmy is a winner when he's on the field. Not a sturdy winner, but a winner when he's on the field. And so I truly
see, that's what's dangerous about this, though. It's like we got to stick with Jimmy because we win with Jimmy. But chasing that will get you another injury-plagued season from your quarterback. And now what you're getting is Trey Lance playing before he's ready because you held on to an injury-prone guy who wins. Who cares about him?
to further your argument there,
Yeah.
if you chase this year as if you have a chance with Jimmy, now you're
Right.
spending cap dollars. And like last year, we wasted millions on fill-in players
Yeah.
that were going to somehow give us an edge rush, who all ended up getting injured anyway.
Yeah.
And all those millions of dollars that would have come forward to this year's cap are now spent because we wanted to stay relevant in a year where, if we had been honest with ourselves, we weren't relevant from the start.
Right.
And so, to your point, if we go into this year believing we're Super Bowl contenders and push our chips into the center of the table, now the team that we're building around Trey for the future is minus those chips, right?
That's right.
Anything we push in this year, we don't have for next year.
That's right. Something to consider. Plan B. BM Onus says the strategic advantage of having a quarterback on rookie wages is it allows you to get a prime free agent like Julio. Jimmy going next year and Cap's going up in 2. Yep. Only question is, do you want to give $64 million guaranteed to 32-year-old wide receiver who missed half the season last year? I mean, if you're getting Julio 17 games a year, great.
Yeah.
If you're not, then you could have spent all this money on someone who's younger and better. I mean, you don't want to just, but I'm not, we'll see.
Yeah, and you can't really kick the can down the road with Julio. He's got 3 years left on his deal. They're all above $10 million a year. So if you want to try and bring his cap number down, it's tough without extending him beyond age 35, which seems highly, highly, highly risky.
That's right. All right. Should the Niners sign another edge rusher, in your opinion? There are some good ones out there. Should we go through the list? Do you have it in front of you?
Yeah, I got it right here in front of me.
Okay.
So this sparked for me once Ryan Kerrigan jumped off of the market. I thought that he was a great signing at the value. I think $2.5 million guaranteed, $3.5 million if he hits all of his incentives. I thought that was a steal. And so it brought to mind, we're counting on Samson. And I'm sorry, Samson, but I don't necessarily count on Samson to carry us there. I think that he's an if. If he is what we hope he is, then we're set there. But I don't think you can count on that. So here are the edges that are available: Melvin Ingram, Justin Houston, Olivier Vernon, Everson Griffin, Deion Jordan, who we obviously know, and Vic Beasley. They are age 28 for Vic Beasley up to 33 for Everson Griffin. Mm-hmm. And they ranged in how many sacks they had last year. A couple of them came up with goose eggs up to, I think it was Olivier Vernon, who had the best season, 14 games, 9 sacks last year. He's a consistent contributor, but never a true star. So to answer your first question, yes, I personally believe we should add another rotational piece. I believe that when you have Samson Ebukam, I believe he will take that next step, but I think you want another speed rusher, and I don't trust that D Ford will be able to come back and give us something. If he does, great, but I'm not counting on it.
I mean, what's wrong with Olivier Vernon? Why would you not sign that guy? I mean, he had 9 sacks last year. He's 30 years old. Yep. He has like 60-something sacks in his career. He's always been good. He comes off the bench. Great. I mean, he's a lot like what D Ford was. And you like Samson Ebukam? Great. Now you got 2.
Yeah. I like my top 2 there: Justin Houston, Olivier Vernon. Justin Houston, last season, he was used on 60% of the snaps with the Colts, 16 games, 8 sacks. He's a seasoned sack. He is the definition of a sack artist. I mean, he had that one.
He's younger than I thought, too. I mean, he had 11 sacks a year before that, 9 sacks a year before that. Man.
Now he had
what about Justin Houston?
He had that huge injury, but now he's 4 years removed from that huge injury and had production in the years since it. To me, he's a perfect part-time player. I'm all in on the Justin Houston train.
I like Houston or Vernon, either one.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not?
These guys are going to get.
You're not going to get anything from D Ford.
Peanuts.
Yeah, you're not going to get anything from D Ford.
Probably
do it. I love this idea. I didn't realize that Justin Houston had numbers like that. I mean, the last time this guy had less than 8 sacks in a season was 2016.
As a part-time player, as the D Ford type.
Yeah, it seems like an easy no-brainer. Niners, what are you waiting for?
Seriously.
Trey says you chatted up Marquise Lee and now he's going why? Why we keep going through these off-brand wide receivers? Trey, my bad. Sorry.
That's a question for the 49ers.
Something to talk about.
Why do they keep going through these receivers?
I don't know. I think it's because I liked Marquise Lee when he was in college. I got excited. Sorry, Trey. My bad. We needed something to talk about.
Yeah,
was
well,
on me.
I fault the 49ers front office for forcing us to talk about it. They're the ones who signed Marquise Lee.
Yeah, why did you sign that guy and then cut him a couple days later for someone who was available the whole time? That'll never make sense to me. Anyway,
Cold-blooded.
let's switch up. Let's switch it up and talk more journalism or however you want to talk about it. The Niners have 9 road trips this year. Let's talk about them a little bit. I haven't been to a lot of these places, but I'm going to go to some of them this year. I'm excited for some of them. So let's talk about them.
Yeah. So for me, anyone who didn't see my original airing with you, like I have a bucket list item where I'm attempting to go to all the NFL stadiums. The map behind me, that shoulder there, has the pins in it of places that I've been. A lot of repeats because these stadiums keep moving. It's annoying. But anyway, I am attempting to check them off one by one. So this is of high interest to me. And I start to look at things from a foodie aspect when I'm in town. Yeah. I'm a fan. So I want to be able to eat good food. If there's a game in New Orleans, hello, I'm there. Yeah. I want to eat New Orleans food. Give me more. I am following my stomach there. Stadium history, the cool factor, Lambeau Field. I can't wait to go to Lambeau Field.
I've been to Lambeau Field twice.
I missed the opportunity where you were there. I went to every other playoff game that year when you saw that, but I'm kind of glad that I wasn't there in sub-zero temperatures.
Oh, so cold. So cold.
Opposing fans, and that can be positive or negative. I have come across some amazing fans in my journey around the nation, and I have run into some that are quite unpleasant right here in my backyard in Portland. Matchup quality. So you got to look at, what's it going to look like? So for me, Chicago game, that varies widely. Good storyline. So those are my key considerations. When you're looking at the schedule and deciding where you're going to go as a journalist, not as a fan, what do you look at?
Just the city. And like, is it a downtown stadium? Because if it's not a downtown stadium, then I got to stay near the stadium, not near downtown. And it's not going to be fun.
Like Dallas?
Yes. Dallas stinks. I've been to the Dallas stadium. It was not fun. Didn't like it.
Amazing stadium though. I mean, it blew.
It looks like a space station on the moon. So if that's your thing, then yeah, it's very impressive in that sense. But to me, I think Lambeau looks a lot cooler. Lambeau has history and style and brick and stuff. But anyway, what I look for is, first of all, is New Orleans on the schedule? Because is New Orleans and New York on the schedule? I can't pass those up. They're the 2 best cities in America that are not the Bay Area, in my opinion. So you gotta go. They have the same caliber of food scene as the Bay Area, if not better. It's a lot of fun. I mean, the Mercedes-Benz Superdome is downtown. That's a lot of fun. The one in New York is in Jersey. That's not cool, but I'll stay in Manhattan and just take a train out there. It's not convenient, but it's fun. Yeah. So those 2 are like, are they on? And New Orleans is a lot. The other one is Seattle every year. I love Seattle. I didn't grow up going there, but going there the last 10 years, it's a lot of fun. They have a downtown stadium. You can walk from the hotel to the stadium and back, which I like to do. Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle for me is right here in my backyard. So that's one that I try to go to every year. That's a good one. All right. So I wanted to rank these, take out the divisional ones and rank those separately because we play those every year. So for me this year, those 3 are pretty easy. LA is number 1 because new quarterback. I want to see Stafford play last game of the year. So the storyline is fantastic. And the new stadium. I mean, I was planning to attend last year. Obviously things changed. That devastated. I was going to go to New York. I'm with you on that. That city, amazing. I was going to get to stay in New York for a week in between 2 games and check off 2 stadiums. Even though it's the same stadium, I still have to go twice because it's the Jets and the Giants. I'm glad I didn't because I maybe would have ended it all after seeing what happened in New York to our players. But I did miss out on that last year. So for me, LA number 1, then Seattle. Seattle gets a bump for me in that, to me, and I don't want to be disparaging here, but those are the least friendly fans I have come across in the NFL.
I've never done the whole fan tailgate thing. So I just walked through it. It seems like a lot of people out and it seems like a party, but I don't know how civil and hospitable they are.
Not always civil. I was there for that NFC championship game and just got 1 ticket. So was there by myself and had a negative experience, let's say.
Okay.
So that sticks with me. But it's a beautiful city, beautiful stadium, and it's a healthy rivalry, right? So the fandom it's easy to see where the dislike comes from. And then Arizona, because to me it's like a bowl of vanilla ice cream. It just doesn't really excite me in that way. All right.
You know, I always kind of like Scottsdale. It is like vanilla ice cream, but my my dad would take me for spring training. And I always kind of like the whole spring training vibe, people coming from all over the country to I liked it. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely vanilla though, but it's like vanilla bean kind of like Haagen-Dazs vanilla, like the good kind of vanilla.
There's nothing wrong with a bowl of vanilla ice cream, Grant. Hey,
There's a little
sometimes it's
yeah.
what you need. It's comfort food.
I kind of like Phoenix more than I'm willing to admit. I know there's nothing cool about saying it, but I kind of like. I'm looking forward to the trip to Phoenix this year. I'm
Are
just saying.
you going to retire there
It's
at age
warm.
45, Grant?
No. But a lot of baseball players live in Phoenix because spring training and the weather, and you can play baseball there all the time. Yeah,
Great place to
I'm
live
just saying.
if you like the warm weather, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
All right, so now we got 6 non-divisional away games. I'm interested to hear your take on these. I've got a reason for each, but Tennessee, Jacksonville, Cincy, Chicago, Philly, and Detroit.
Tennessee's I like. I've been to Nashville before. Nashville's a lot of fun. I've only been once, but it's like the way I thought of it is a lot of nightlife, like bars with live music, and it's not like a cover band. It's country music, which is not my thing, but
Right.
they're all good. I mean, they're all people that are trying to make it. It's a cool scene. I mean, I'm into country music when I'm into Nashville. I'll go. It seemed like a lot of fun. I mean, most bars don't have that kind of stuff going on. So it's a lot of people. It's a whole scene. It's fun. I like Nashville. I'm definitely going to Nashville this year. Definitely going. That's for Christmas.
Top on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, December 23rd, I think it is.
Yeah.
So that one is one I'll have to bring my wife to because we'll probably have to do Christmas in Nashville.
Same. Then the Niners are playing in Chicago this year. I've never really spent time in Chicago, so I want to do that. I want to go to Chicago just for the city, not for Soldier Field or for Justin Fields or the storylines. I just want to go for Chicago. You know, see what that's all about.
Yeah, that one's lower on my list, but if it changes and the storyline changes, if we have Fields against Lance, I'm all in on that game. Otherwise, the food is a good draw. I'm a big fan of pizza of any kind, so Chicago-style pizza, I'm in. But it's not as high on my list as one might think.
And there's Philly. I mean, I was in Philly a couple of years ago, and it didn't seem like the place that I needed to come back to 2 years later, but it was interesting. I mean, it's a very old city. The streets are narrow. The buildings are 400 years old. I was very disappointed by the cheesesteak I bought, but I think I got the wrong one.
Ooh, yeah, you got to try that again because there's some winners.
I blew it. So, yeah, I might skip that one this year.
I've got that one down at 5 out of 6. Cheesesteaks are a big draw. That will bring me in. But for me, it's the matchup is the problem. I don't anticipate the Eagles being true contenders in the NFC this year, and it's an early season game. I would rather see a game in Philly in the snow. Most East Coast open air stadiums, I'd rather see them in the snow because it feels more storybook to have gone in that regard. And the fans there are certainly known for being a bit ruckus.
Then there's Jacksonville. I mean, I've never been to Jacksonville. I don't plan on going to Jacksonville this year. I might go to Jacksonville. I mean, it's warm. It's in Florida. That's about all you can say.
For me, this jumps up to number 2 on my list. It will be a game that I'll be at. It is, I agree, the least exciting city in the NFL landscape.
Like if you knew people out there, I'd definitely go.
Yeah,
I would kick it with people in Jacksonville. I got no problem. But I don't know.
It is, Florida and not the part of Florida that you generally would visit. I don't know about the
southern part. I know it's the northern part, but the more north.
God knows what you.
I always heard the more north you go, the more southern it gets in Florida.
Yeah. As you get to the Florida Panhandle, then things get sketchy.
That's right.
But it's the rookie year of the next transcending QB. So storyline wise, like I wish I could say I was at one of Andrew Luck's rookie year games. I wasn't, but I'd like to be able to say that for Trevor Lawrence.
That's cool. I like that. That's a good answer. What else? They got Cincinnati.
Some chili.
I've never been to Cincinnati, so the novelty of never having been there. It's an interesting old school Midwest town. I've been to Cleveland. Cleveland I thought was very charming, so I would be interested to see what Cincinnati's like.
Yeah, this is third on my list because it's a great football town, great football state. I'm a bummer that it's not really driving distance to Canton, but I've been to Canton, and so that's good. But I think Cleveland is. If you hit a game and you're able to see the Browns, then you can do the Canton visit and tie that in. The food's interesting but questionable. I'm down with putting chili on my hot dog. Chili on my spaghetti is a bit
They do that?
Yeah, that's their thing. Chili on spaghetti. And they like to add cinnamon to their chili, which also.
Well, I don't have a problem.
Odd.
Dude, chili on spaghetti is a damn shame. I'm sorry.
Weird.
The quarter Italian inside me does not allow that. Sorry.
Plus, I'm excited to see Joe Burrow running around, getting chased by our D line, and maybe making Cincy regret not drafting Penei Sewell.
Okay, one more. Is it Detroit? Is that it?
Yeah, Detroit is the last one. Detroit.
Okay, I've never been to Detroit. My favorite novelist is Elmore Leonard, who's a crime. I mean, he wrote Rum Punch, which was turned into Jackie Brown. 310 to Yuma was him. He wrote a lot of stuff that got turned into movies, but a lot of his best novels take place in Detroit. So just for the sake of reading about seeing where I've been reading about, but the neighborhoods he described are always really awful. And it sounds like when you go to Detroit, you spend all your time in that huge mall called the Ren Center. So I might skip that one this year too. I don't know.
Yeah, Detroit. So I have been there and have some friends that are from Detroit, and they'll make fun of the city as well. I mean, it is, the home of Motown. And to me, Motown is one of the greatest genres ever. And it's the first game of the year, so there's some draw. If I hadn't been, I might consider it. But to me, there's the likelihood Jimmy's not going to play well. You've got Jared Goff at quarterback, so not necessarily a matchup that I want to see. It does have an underrated food scene. If you haven't been to Detroit, it has a good food scene. Detroit pizza, cast iron style pizza.
That's what I heard.
Good Lord, Grant.
It's good. I heard Detroit pizza is good. I've never really had it, but I've heard very good things about Detroit pizza.
Get your hands on a cast iron pizza, Grant, and go to town.
Nice. I heard it's kind of like focaccia, a little bit like focaccia. I like focaccia.
Yeah, it is.
I like that.
It's got that crispiness on the exterior of the crust. It's fantastic.
I want to go to Detroit someday, and the fact that I just don't think I'm going to go this year, but week 1, that's a reason in and of itself.
Yeah.
Week 1 of the season, at least it won't be freezing cold in Detroit. Not that you go outside, apparently. I don't know. I heard you don't go outside in Detroit.
It's an interesting city.
Yeah.
It's a city that I hope gets revived because it's a beautiful city, but it's also half abandoned, or at least it was when I was there. It suffered and hasn't really recovered. So maybe it needs the tourism dollars. People go visit Detroit, spend your hard-earned Bay Area money.
It needs some industry beyond the auto industry. But one thing, in terms of Midwest cities that are surprisingly interesting and beautiful, I can't talk about Detroit, but one that is not on the list this year that is A+. People may not know Pittsburgh. Gorgeous city. There's all these different rivers. They converge. It is gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
The football stadium is right across a river. You walk, the whole city walks over together. You can see it's super nice. Pittsburgh.
Very, very knowledgeable fan base. That's one I've been to. Three Rivers. I mean, just a beautiful. It's very much like Portland in that regard. Right there on the river, tons of bridges. Yes. I mean, great food scene there in Pittsburgh. They know how to eat. Be prepared to put on a couple of pounds when you go to Pittsburgh. They like to throw.
And then one that I miss, St. Louis.
Say that one more time.
One I miss is St. Louis, man. St. Louis was great. That's another Midwest town. They have a great food scene. They got an Italian food scene, but never again. Not for food.
No.
Sorry to cut you off on Pittsburgh. Go back to Pittsburgh. I got excited about St. Louis.
I was just getting excited over saying that they throw fries in their sandwiches. There's that whole phenomenon, which goes back to if you're in Pittsburgh, be ready to eat, be ready to put down. But it's a walking city. So you can stay in downtown, walk across the river, go to the stadium. The baseball stadium's right there. Beautiful. Good pull, Grant. Good pull.
Dude,
that's one that
you think Pittsburgh is Midwest? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not that far from Cleveland. It's not that far from Youngstown. It's quite far from Philly. Yeah. I don't know. But I'm not from out there. You tell me. I always thought that they did not consider themselves East Coast in Pittsburgh.
Geography is not my strong suit, so I'm going to defer to you. That's why I've got the map behind me. I gotta look at it.
Matt, we got to wrap this up because I got to go write a breaking news about Benny Fowler. But Matt says Niners are supposed to line up 21 personnel and run the ball 40 times a game. We really need Julio. Old Julio equals Sammy Watkins always hurt. Yeah, that was one of the things I said. But hey, man, if Kyle wants Julio, he's going to use Julio. I guarantee that. Yeah, it's not like he's going to trade for him and be like, oh, I don't need you. I forgot.
I think he likes having the various packages that he can go to, and then we all complain that there are underutilized players like Juice.
What are you talking about? Then what is it? What is it then? Yes, it is. I'm right. You're wrong. Get the hell out of here. All right. The show is over, but we're going to plug up a few things. Can you explain what people should do with 49ersmailbag@gmail.com?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got to thinking that I would like to make a little run at opening my own channel. So you can find a YouTube channel for Rob Schuh, SCHUH. It will only have one video, and it's a weird video because it's my Princess Bride parody video, which was a parody of the Battle of Wits scene from The Princess Bride. If you're not old like me, you probably haven't seen it, but it's a cult classic.
Great movie.
Great movie.
Great movie. Watch the movie if you haven't seen it. It holds up well.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, you're missing out. The Battle of Wits scene is epic. So if you rewatch that 5-minute scene and then watch my video, it'll make a heck of a lot more sense. It's slow starting, so you got to bear with it. Anyways, that's the only video that's on there right now, but there will be future videos. So send your questions into 49ersmailbag@gmail.com. When I have accumulated enough good questions, I will put together a video of me answering those, try and throw in some creative things when I can, and throw it on the channel. I'm sure Grant will do me the favor of retweeting it so you'll all get to see it, subscribe, like this video to show Grant how much you like videos when I'm in it. Because I always forget to like videos. Like
videos. Yeah, like this video right now. Yeah, the funny thing about that parody was when I was in high school as a sophomore, I was 15. I was in a performing arts class and we had to do a monologue. Guess what I did?
No way. You did.
I did. So I was like, oh man, we have so much in common. Like I did this when I was 15 in 2004. Yours was better though. Mine was pretty bad. But
yeah, well, you were 15. I
was 15 and it was not on camera. I think I got a solid B+ on that one. Thank you, teacher. All right, now I got some stuff I want to plug. Twitch. So I've been trying to build this Twitch thing. I thought it would be something that I could basically just stream there and here at the same time. You can't do that. Twitch is all very, they feel important. I need to only stream on Twitch. So what I'm thinking is, all right, every day that I can during the week at 3:00, I'll go on Twitch and we can interact. It's going to be kind of informal, kind of just interacting with fans, maybe doing a little film breakdown. But 3:00 today, I'll be on Twitch. It's easy. Twitch.tv/RealGrantCohn. Follow me, subscribe to me. If you subscribe, it costs $5 a month. But if you have an Amazon Prime membership, it's free. So you sign up and you link your Amazon account and it's free. You get one free subscription on Twitter with Amazon Prime. Use it on me, no one else. Because let's be honest, you're probably like 35 and you don't play video games and you're not on Twitch. But now you have a reason to because you're going to watch me talk about sports. I'll be there once a day exclusively on Twitch. Subscribe for free with your Amazon Prime thing. It's the little thing. You can click on it. I'd really appreciate it because I get paid for that. So thank you so much. It's a way to pay me without spending money. I think that's a win-win for everyone. So thank you so much for letting me plug myself. Ooh, I shouldn't have said that. Thank you so much for letting me plug that. Yikes. All right. Well, I made it 58 minutes without making a gaffe, and then I did. So thank you very much, everyone.
There it is.
Rob, great stuff, man. I'm looking forward to doing this with you next week and retweeting your stuff, man. Everyone subscribe to his YouTube channel. Right now. I'll be back in an hour with Coach. Right now. I'll be back on YouTube in an hour with Coach Noah Johnston looking at Diamador Lenore clips. Stay tuned.